Hello, welcome to the Sparkles of Gold Astrology channel. My name is Nicolas Polimenakos. Today I'm going to do a different type of video and I'm going to try to do it as fast as I can. I'm going to talk about Venus and Taurus conjunct together with Uranus and Taurus. It's happening exactly on June 11th and what it means for each sign. So, Venus, who rules the feminine, who likes to harmonize, love, relationships, resources, money, in the sign and at home at Taurus, which it has been here for a little bit now, for several weeks now, and it loves being there. Its values and tastes and its sensuality, its appetites, its physical, tenacious, building slow security, building a persistent, persevering world is a Venus and Taurus thing, but it does definitely likes to enjoy the five senses and the pleasures of life. And that's what's been happening with Venus and Taurus as of late. And here she is. Here's Venus making a conjunction and together with Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus, the sudden rocking, explosive energy that it brings. And its main goal is to uproot what is old and not working and to bring something in new. And it does it surprisingly, at times in a shocking way. It's completely unpredictable. So you think about this: love, relationships, and money in Taurus. And here's Uranus throwing its unpredictable lightning bolt to it and shaking things up. So what's it mean for your sign? And most importantly, let's be clear here, I really like for you to know for your rising sign. If you don't know that, a lot of people do because of apps these days, but if you don't know that, you can hit me up on the bottom here and hit contact and I'll tell you. But if you are this sign in general, please take notes in the energy and the vibe of all this, okay? So let's just bust out what the Taurus is in general, what's happening with you, because it's everything. Every single part of who you are is fundamentally changing, and it started to happen in 2018. If you're a Taurus or Taurus rising that has parts of your chart at the degrees between, let's say, 13 and 17, you've been right on stage in this opera of being shaken up, your whole identity changing, your world's changing, which is not easy for the basic Taurus archetype, because they're a rooted earth sign that's fixed in what they do, stubborn and persistent. And they don't like the boat getting rocked. They like their feet firmly planted in the tierra, the dirt, right? So here's Uranus throwing some more unpredictability into the world. And some of you Taurus risings have probably gotten used to this, hopefully. And what you have to remember is to go with the flow, that you don't know how and what is exactly going to happen, even though it falls in the carrot category of resources and relationships, all types of relationships, your relationship to yourself, your self-worth, finances, resources, that type of thing, okay? So, but some of you haven't gotten used to it. You start getting used to it because you can't predict this stuff. Your core self, Taurus risings, every single thing on a molecular level is going to change. That's one way you can look at it as an example of that. And I'm just going to say you have to ride this. You have to ride the unpredictability, but also pay attention for flashes of clarity in your world when it comes to looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing yourself and letting go parts of you that are not functioning anymore. And so this Venus-Uranus conjunction is there to change that and to show you that flash and that clarity. So pay close attention. And even if you aren't, it might knock you right upside your bullhead. So let's go to the Aries, my Aries risings. This is happening in the part of an area of your chart that deals with resources and money on your end too. So, but very specifically this, how you spend money, how you acquire money, how you acquire resources, what that means to you. There is something fundamentally shifting there and has been, and that's where you'll see the little lightning bolt and surprise and clarity come through. Sometimes, since a word that deals with Uranus is like a rebellious nature, and I'm saying this in particular to you Aries rising people because you like to rebel and you have a knack for that kind of pushing yourself in the world. Plus you have Mars and Aries in your world these days, along with Jupiter and Aries. So don't go overboard with spending money and resources. Money can come in super fast and leave super fast with this type of transit. And it's not just happening this week and on June 11th. It's kind of a theme, a setup here for a while. So pay attention. Money comes in out of the blue. Great. What are you going to do with it? By the time you start to figure it out, it's gone again. So be smart about how you deal with resources and cash. My Geminis, my Gemini risings, this is happening in a part of your chart, which they call the 12th house in astrology. And, you know, this is a tough place, actually, for many Geminis, I think, or Gemini rising sometimes. They're not in connection with their subconscious and dealing with isolation, because a lot of the times Gemini risings is a very social sign. So, but we're dealing with isolation and loss possibly here, and limitations and seclusion. These are the key words for this part of your chart. And so there's Venus and there's Uranus in that part of the chart, and they're changing and switching something. So what you value, do you value, and have you come to terms and to value your seclusion and your isolation and what it means? And it could be good, because in those places, there are things that come up in your dream world or your subconscious world for you to deal with. And so this is how the shock and the piece of clarity can come in. And I'm going to remind you all, the word value here is key to Venus, and key to Venus and Taurus. So for you Gemini risings, pay attention to what is coming up from under the surface. And a lot of the times this is happening in an alone place. And in a healthy vehicle, I would say, in a meditative place. And take note of that flash of clarity. And if you haven't been noticing those things or whatever, something might come out of the blue anyway to show you, or in a sense, to push you along in that direction. Well, the next sign are my Cancers. My water sign Cancers. This is happening in what they call the 11th house of your chart. This deals with community and your hopes and wishes, and like your small little groups that you're involved in, which could be, is an interesting thing for a Cancer rising there to have that, because wanting to connect on an emotional level. But here, there's also the integration with Venus, resources, money, relationships, love, and Taurus, the pragmatic sign of Taurus, and Uranus bringing in something new and possibly liberating in that area of community and friends. That community and friends can actually be shifting and changing. They have been. And there's an event or two this week or coming up that shows you maybe a goodbye and to what that means to you. Your connection to a certain part of community, certain group of people, certain friends, and bringing in maybe possibly new friends or new people. And underneath that all is how your hopes and wishes are supported by that group of people or new friends or new somebody, and in a community-based way. You feel me? I said feel me on purpose, Cancer risings. Next sign I'm going to deal with are my Leos. Leo, this is happening in your career part of your chart, the part of the chart that everyone could see, the part of your chart that's like on your metaphorical business card here, and like what's on it. Okay, so now this, usually with career, you're dealing with money and resources too, and in a sense of maybe trying to get a raise or a promotion, or if you're self-employed, trying to put yourself in a better position for your career and your public standing. Okay, so that's where this is happening narrative-wise, is there could be something innovative coming in to help you to bring your stature up, to show yourself in a different way. And I know you, Leo risings, you don't mind that. You want that. You want to be seen, but I think it's more than being seen. I think it's about being seen. It's about seeing for how much you are worth, how much value you bring to the situation, career, public stature, so on and so forth. It's called the 10th house in the astrology. So be aware of that, and you that fiery part of you, enjoy the unpredictableness. Even though you're a fixed signs have sometimes a hard time shifting, but try to enjoy it and ride that electricity that Uranus brings and that shocking thing, and it actually could give you a rush. I know you like the rushes. All right, next time we're going to deal with is my Virgos. Virgos, this Venus-Uranus conjunction is happening in a part of your chart they call the ninth house. This has to do with higher truth and higher knowledge. And in this case, what is of value, what is of worth, what is of, like, in a sense of knowledge, currency could be coming your way, and a spark, something out of the blue that deals with how you view your own truth and other truths that you're into, or it could be something new that comes your way that you want to study or take a workshop on, or a long trip and travel takes you to another place for you to bring in something that you've never experienced before. So these are the themes in the area of the ninth house, and Uranus and Venus are moving and shaking that area, and you might have to come to terms with that kind of switch and change. But my Virgo risings, you're a mutable sign, and you do have that way of shifting in the computer science like mind that you have, and I know you'll dial in on that unpredictable, out of the blue something or idea, or a particular subject matter that you want to, like, completely get in deep and study and analyze. And if we take a step back from that, how you do that, how you analyze, how you seek the knowledge, that actually could be the fundamental thing that has the shift and change. Yes. Libras, my Libra risings. This is interesting here because of what you are as a Libra rising, and always trying to balance your world and the people around you and your environment and not rocking the boat. But you're also political game changers and master chess players. I see right through it. You're really good at manipulation. I'm not trying to talk bad, but you know what to do for when it's positive. We love that, right? This is happening in what they call the 8th house of your chart. And this chart actually has to do with other people's resources and your intertwinement with them. They're also in the old school astrology, we're dealing with death and taxes, and in the sense of inheritances. So maybe in a rare, if you happen to be a Libra rising and you have something happen, come out of the blue with money and inheritance, please comment down below. But I'm not saying that's going to happen to you all. But usually this house has to do with how you're intertwined on a deep level with shared resources, other people's resources, right? So there's a surprise happening there. There could be a windfall. It could be something leaving. It could be a major contract that you have to sign, something you're dealing with the bank, actually. On another level, this house and area deals with a certain type of intimacy. And what I mean by that is usually when you find yourself having to share resources or looking for resources outside of you, it takes a certain type of, like, connectiveness and intimacy in ways where you're going deeper in some sort of relationship because you're talking about deeper resources and your access to them. So here's where the Venus and Uranus conjunction can bring a change, and it will be, and can bring that unexpected or innovative approach of how you deal with that, or some new partner that comes in that you are intertwined with and needing their resources, and then having to negotiate in that area. Also, on another level, this deals with the occult matters, the 8th house does. So you could find yourself studying deeper spiritual things and things that are out of the norm, all types of modalities, whether you're talking tarot, astrology, all types of things. You want to call on the angels, that too. This actually has to do with that, but on a grounded level. Venus and Uranus, and the surprise and the excitement and that electricity falls in this area. Don't make any sudden moves, I would say, when it's dealing with some sort of negotiating shared resources thing, but you might be surprised of how it comes to you. All right. Oh, my Scorpios. Scorpio risings. This happens in the relationship part of your house, of your chart. And it's not just intimate relationships. This is important to remember here about this 7th house here, because sometimes it's like always about the intimate one. It's not necessarily the case. It has to do with relationships in general and your relationship to the world, and just the other. And if you think about what the other is, it's many different things. It could be family, friends, an intimate other person, certain groups of friends, people, associates. that type of thing. And so in an old school way too, it deals with open enemies. That's the old traditional astrology of it. Also, there's a switch and a change of how you have maybe been used to integrating in relationships. And Venus and Uranus in here come in to shake that whole thing up, and of how you show yourself, how you show up in relationships. And depending on the Scorpio rising that you are and what else is going on in your chart, and sometimes you can go look to Mars, because Mars rules Scorpio, is for a filler and a color in to how to deal with this. But in general, my Scorpios, you're fixed sign also, and can be very stubborn, and sometimes it's about power and control. And what it really comes down to is you're such an intense, sensitive internal sign that you have protective measures of how you deal with relating to the people or in the world. And here, Venus and Uranus and Taurus bring a pragmatic approach, a productive, steady way of changing and showing yourself in a different way in relationships. And I would say, on one last note with all this, and I think this is very important for you Scorpios, because you get a bad rap, okay? You and the Geminis get a bad rap in astrology. I think your intentions are always deep and well thought, and it's who you share it with on an intimate level. Again, this could be friends, family, whoever. See if you try something new in that area and decide to show yourself in a different way, if the other values that and recognizes that. Because that is the key thing here with this transit and this surprise and this uprooting of that. Are people seeing you when you're taking the risk to show yourself on a certain level and wanting to connect? You have to make the changes, not do it the old way. At the same time, the other has to mirror that back to you. Next up are my Sagittarian risings. Okay, all right, this is a shakeup in your daily life and your regimen and health. You got to check your body here. You have to value your body and your systems. You fire sign Sagittarius, you want to shoot off into the stratosphere. You want the wind in your face. You want that vibe of moving that fire around and seeking something. And in this case, there might be a surprise or something that comes out of the blue that deals with your daily regimen. I'm not saying you're going to get sick or anything like that. I'm not a doctor. I don't do that kind of thing. But it does fall in this category of like the system that is your body, the daily activities, your regimen, what time you do something during the day, when do you do it in the middle of the day, when do you do it at night. And this Venus-Uranus conjunction in Taurus comes in to show you a switch and a change that needs to happen. Depending on how you've been living your life and how you've been flowing and how connected you are in your body, I think is how this shows up for you. If, let's say, you haven't been on point, this could be a major surprise across yourself, and then you're finding yourself flailing and adjusting. Just think of daily habits and new ways of applying and working those daily habits, and think about it in a grounded, practical way. Take off your shoes, walk into the grass, meditate on this, and take the higher view that you Sag risings like to take, and look for that download and flashing light bulb of something, information to come into your world to help you deal with your daily life and daily habits. Wow. Capricorns, my Capricorns. This must have been interesting for you since 2018 with Uranus coming into Taurus then, and now lately with Venus and Taurus there, and this liberating, innovative energy that's amazing and electrical that's happening in the house that deals with creative expression and children and pleasure. And so Capricorn risings, you're kind of known to be some boring people. That's the stigma you have. It's all business, climb the mountain, do the work, so on and so forth. But here, this energy in this other earth sign of Taurus, it's flowing with Capricorn rising. So if you haven't been feeling it lately, this is the time to push out who you are creatively, to show the love, to show and connect with that life force that rides the edge of life, the life force that's in everything, that's in here's an example, the creation of life, people getting together and they have babies, and the spark and the life that makes that happen. I use that example because the 5th house in astrology deals with children also. Sometimes it is actual children, but it's an example of the pure raw life force that we tap into to creatively express ourselves. Okay, so Capricorn risings, this is where it's happening for you. Enjoy it. If you're finding yourself feeling a little like, oh, I'm not digging this uprooted energy, try to go with the flow with this. Take on some tools in your world to creatively express yourself, whether it's with painting or music, anything that it will take for you. Enjoy this transit. It's actually can be really good. If it's not functioning in it's hard or challenging way right now, I would look to finding an alone place to output your creativity as a balance in your life for some of the challenges you have. But Uranus and Venus here are bringing, in a sense, even though it's unpredictable and shocking, there's still the Taurus part of all this that has to do with persistence and being grounded, and you take the word organic. So find that organic connection to that life force that I mentioned. Aquarius, this is happening in the part, Aquarius rising, this is happening in the part of your chart that deals with home and family and the past and lineages and memory and roots. And so you can see this is Uranus and Venus there. We're talking about resources, and Uranus dealing with change. This is moving. You could be moving out of a house or moving into a house, or somebody in your family is doing that, or there's a change and you find out something about your past and your family lineage that comes out of the blue. That's something you never heard of. These are examples of what I'm talking about. Parents, the father, the past, but there's something fundamental happening here on a deep level, because this 4th house is the bottom of the chart and it supports the whole chart. So there's things that you might not even know of that show up out of the blue that bring disruption actually and unexpected events in that area. But basically we're dealing with home, family, memories, the past. Okay, so, my Aquarius risings, you're dialed in with that scientific mind you have, and you're able to crystallize and synthesize things. But sometimes it's about getting out of your head and the mental part of things and getting into your roots and core and emotion here. And this organic vibe that Venus and Taurus brings, this sensuality that brings, this tactileness, this wanting to engage through your 5 senses, is a vehicle to the past and to past memories, and something that can close the gap possibly in your world in interesting ways. Pisces, the last sign. You're really the last and the first. You're everything, aren't you? As immutable Pisces rising. This is happening in the part of your chart that deals with the intellect and the mind, and also short-term travel, as they say, and siblings. But really think about the intellect here, of how one processes logically, how the words are formed, how sentences are formed, what's around you in your immediate area, and how you are connecting to those things. Venus and Uranus in this electrical Uranus conjunction is happening in that area of your chart, and can bring flashes of brilliance when it comes to just something simple with your mind. I want you to be careful here, though, to not get too carried away. You've been through so much the last couple months with all the stuff, the Pisces stuff that happened in your chart, but I really just want you to concentrate on how you communicate and how people are communicating to you. And here's where something can shift, and innovative ways of speaking and communicating, and vice versa, with those people mirroring to you. This could be an exciting energy that just sets your mind alight. Another thing you didn't quite see, another view, another way of looking at things you just have never experienced. And Uranus and Taurus and Venus and Taurus bringing in something new to change all that, to eventually where you can take it in as something of value, even though it could be shocking. So you could see the keywords that I've been using here. For all my 12 signs I just went through, I hope you got some insight here. I know I rattled it off really fast. If you have any questions about any of this, you can find me at sparklesofgold.com. You can go down below. Click the subscribe, hit the thumbs up. I have a Patreon. If you have what you consider a dumb question, there is none in astrology, so you can always contact me and ask me, and I'll do my best. Put it down in the comments. This is my free flow to go through 12 signs about Venus and Taurus with Uranus and Taurus. This sudden electrical, beautiful actually way of riding the lightning of life, and on a simple base core way. Venus and Taurus indulges and likes pleasure. So if you can find that in each one of the signs and each one of the categories that I mentioned, to find the pleasure into the change and the suddenness, of find pleasure and clarity, and even find pleasure in liberation, then you're doing a pretty good job. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.